There are a lot of things to love about Murder Drones. The horror, the characters, the lore, but there is one part of Murder Drones that I wish got more love. Its moral complexity. Murder Drones has some amazing examples of this, so why do people tend to never bring it up? There are 3 characters that are examples of Murder Drones' moral complexity, starting off with our first character. Doll's entire motivation in Murder Drones is that she wants to avenge her family. A very simple backstory. But the one thing that makes her so interesting is the fact that V was the one who killed her parents. From this point in the story where Doll makes a transition from a background character to an antagonist, we're still unsure of V's motivations. It can be incredibly easy to view Doll as a hero here, as for a first-time viewer, V comes off as incredibly suspicious. Of course, that doesn't justify what Doll does to get the upper hand on V, and she clearly leans more towards being an anti-villain instead of an anti-hero, but I can easily see why someone would be rooting for her. Doll decides to spare Lizzie and question Uzi on why she'd stand up for the disassembly drones, angry that someone would stand against her beliefs. The last sign of Doll's moral complexity for the episode is when Doll realizes Uzi also has to solve her. She goes from being petty towards Uzi to immediately having sympathy, saying if she finds what she was looking for, she'll help Uzi too, before teleporting away. In one episode, Doll has easily made herself the most interesting character in the series. You can either root for her or against her, and the best part is, there is no wrong answers here. You can either want her downfall, as she has killed innocent workers and is shown to be petty, or you could want to see her succeed in killing V, believing that she has the right to want V dead after all the murders she committed. If anything, Doll is more sympathetic towards Uzi than V ever had been. Of course, it should be stated, Doll is not a hero or a villain. She's done good and bad, but it's up to you to decide how you want to view her. It's seriously impressive that the series has managed to give Doll such a smooth transition from a background character, side character, to an antagonist. It'll be a joy seeing where the series goes with her. Is what I would have said if I hadn't already watched the series and know exactly what happens in the next episode. Doll is silently watching Uzi in Cabin Fever. It may not seem worth mentioning, but once again, it makes you wonder, is she watching Uzi to keep her safe, or stalking her for a more personal reason? This subtly either makes you view Doll as more of a threat or a distant ally. However, in home, she barges in, recklessly throws Khan behind her and attempts to steal the key bug, which should be called Peak Bug. Refusing to explain anything to Uzi, he gets the key bug, talks to Khan, and it's revealed she's working with Tessa and is clearly in a romantic relationship with Jay. Immediately, they make her a clear threat with only a glimpse of sympathy towards Uzi, but Doll giving Uzi a sympathetic look isn't enough. She actually has to have a line of dialogue about it. And on the topic of dialogue, why doesn't Doll tell Uzi what she's looking for? Doll said, if I find what I'm looking for, I'll help you too. That means she's planning on finding a reusable cure. Why not tell Uzi? Does she think Uzi would tell V? Even if Uzi did, why the hell would V care? What does Doll have to lose here? It makes her come off as unreasonable, which leads to many fans beginning to doubt Doll's motives. In Dead End, she sees V, grabs the key bug, and runs for it. A shame we don't see her interact with V or her true love Jay, but it is a reasonable reaction seeing the person you teamed up with just being chill with the thing that killed your parents. Then we don't see her till the end of the episode where she tries to get them all killed. Doll has clearly shown that she's a character who believes in the Pale King saying, no cost too great. But I really don't like this writing decision. Can we all acknowledge that Dead End is overrated? Seriously, this scene completely reduces Doll from the most interesting character to just another antagonist in the series. She gives Uzi one last look of sympathy before ditching it to the labs, but the fact still stands. Doll decided her goal was more important than helping out another solver victim. If you think this is Doll's development, becoming more selfish and just wanting to save themselves, then that's fair. But I think it's terrible. Murder Drones already has the solver as a heartless villain. Making Doll into one just for the final scene was not worth it. Is the scene cool? Yes. Do I think it's bad writing? Also, yes. With these 2 episodes ruining Doll's moral complexity, Mass Destruction does its best to save her character, but Liam clearly fell asleep while writing and just decided to kill her off. I am very mixed on Doll's death. At least she was killed off before the worst episode, and her death scene is no doubt one of the most scariest scenes in Murder Drones, but think about what we lost. We lose a character who, even at this point in the story, you could still root for, as we all know that she was looking for a cure, and it really sucks at how wasted she is. But out of all the morally complex characters, characters here, I do believe she gets the best out of everyone. At least she gets a semi-decent conclusion. As for the others... Khan sold the series. The scene of him closing the door on Uzi is the best scene in the pilot and is easy top 5 best scene material. Everything about it is what makes Khan so good. Once again, he isn't a hero or villain. He's what you view him as. He chose to protect the colony over his family, a simple choice, but it's caused so much debate in this fandom. I personally side with Khan. No way he would have been able to kill N in time, not to mention his wife was nearly killed by a disassembly drone, but instead ran away before finishing the job, forcing Khan to put Nori out of her misery. Zack clearly messed with Khan, and while it's not an excuse for his neglectful parenting, and he's not justified for ignoring Uzi, it is an understandable reason. So, where does the story take this? Oh, how about they take it nowhere? Uzi and Khan just never talk about what happened in the pilot. Quick solution to this problem: cabin fever is where Khan and Nori met. Have it be an Uzi and Khan episode, trust me, it would have been absolutely peak. Imagine if Khan saw Solver Uzi, how would he react? Cabin and Fever really missed an obvious chance to give us some amazing character moments between Uzi and especially Khan, a character who needed more scenes. Khan does nothing really connected to moral complexity in next episodes. Quick summary though, Hom goes in and assassinates his character. No, I'm not joking. He just doesn't care that Uzi has disassembly drones in her house. Like, are you freaking kidding me? By mass destruction, he's suddenly confident and has no problem putting 2 kids in danger, and then he proceeds to do nothing, an absolute end. Khan's downfall from a morally challenged character to a character that the writers change whenever it's convenient is barely talked about in this fandom, and more people should acknowledge that Khan is just as wasted as Jay and Doll and our last character. Out of all the characters I've ever seen in fiction, Tessa has the best moral complexity. She could have been the best character I've ever seen. Tessa's goal is simple, just like all the other morally complex characters here, but her goal is definitely the biggest out of all of them: to kill Uzi. If Uzi lived, then the Solver could and would take over her, leading to the end of the entire universe. Tessa knows how terribly powerful the Solver is, seeing it destroy Earth, and she wants N's help to make that never happen again. All he has to do is let go of one little drone. Tessa's moral complexity is incredibly set up in only 2 episodes, Homa giving us a view of her personality and Dead End expanding upon that, Tessa being given a valid reason for wanting Uzi dead, making her a hero or villain depending on if the watchers of the series would want to see N and Uzi making it in space eternally. It's not worth it. Go away, shippers. Episode 7 comes along, and while I wish they did more with her, N killing Tessa is a powerful moment, showing us how even though N disagrees with Tessa, you can agree with her and not be wrong either. It's your choice, love or the universe. Off topic, I love how we get characters more morally complex the deeper into the story we go, starting off with Khan, Doll, and now to Tessa. It's really interesting seeing how the series never loses sight of moral complexity. Then it's revealed Tessa was never Tessa, that's Sin wearing her corpse as a costume. Oh my freaking... It's good, I guess? But it could have been so much better. Tessa is a wasted character, Khan is a wasted character, and Doll is a wasted character. After discussing all of Murder Drone's morally complex characters, I think I know why Liam fumbled the writing for them so badly. I don't think they were written to be morally complex. Doll goes from wanting to help Uzi to leaving Uzi for dead, Khan goes from a bad dad who wants to protect his colony to a joke, and Tessa goes from being the most morally complex characters to a costume. None of this ties back into their original setup. The only character who might have actually been written to be morally complex was probably Doll, and even then, they still fumble with her writing. The way Murder Drone treats moral complexity, despite having some great ideas, is disappointing at best and pure garbage at worst.